All right, and we are live. Hello, happy Monday night, everyone. We are super stoked to welcome you to tonight's episode of The Living Force. We have one more doctor than usual on tonight's show. We got your boy Wes behind the camera. We got me. We got a whole bunch of Star Wars content coming your way. I am ready. You are ready. Wesley, punch it. All right, welcome to The Living Force. I am the wettiest podcast host that has ever been. I am Eric Eilerson. Hey, what's up, everybody? I am joined tonight, as always, by the doctors. We have Dr. Corey Helton. Hey, buddy.
What's up? What's up? What's up? Do I have mic audio this week? I see it there. I see it there.
Look
What's
at that.
up?
It's a miracle.
It is.
We have you. We also have the other doctor, Dr. Charles Hankel. What's up, buddy?
Hello there, guys. I'm so
Charles.
ready for this.
Charles Hankel.
Charles Hankel. Oh, I'm with your bait. I'm done with this. I don't like this bit. Wes, what's up? You're here too.
What's going on, everybody? Hope you all enjoyed UTini game night last week with my alter ego.
That was fantastic.
Oh my gosh. I'm still not
So much
recovered
fun.
from the glory that was.
That was
That was an
fantastic.
incredible time.
It was so good.
And we are going to be talking more about that later in tonight's show. But I want to start off with a little bit of news for y'all. First of all, wow, you know what? Welcome to the chat. Welcome to everyone hanging out this Monday night on The Living Force. If you are new, we're so happy to have you. You have found one of the most positive, inclusive fan communities in the Star Wars universe. We are part of utini.com, where you can find reviews, book guides, articles, all kinds of great stuff. You got to check out Utini for everything that is going on in the Star Wars expanded universe. Today, we are going to be talking about the Dr. Aphra audio drama later on in the show. Do a little mini roundtable about it. Charles said he wasn't going to do prompts. He was going to take time off. But Charles, you lied, did you not?
I lied. I do it on occasion. Sorry for being prepared.
You know what? I'm not sorry for you being prepared because we are lucky you're here, and we'll hit those in a little bit. But before we do, a little bit of news on the Star Wars front. It wasn't a huge week for Star Wars. That being said, by the time this episode comes out on Friday for everyone, it will be in the midst of what should have been Star Wars Celebration. So who knows what's happening as of right now? Do you guys think we're going to get any announcements this week later on?
That's a good question. Maybe. Yes. Charles, you seem to say yes.
I think so. They had to have had things planned for it, right?
Yeah. I mean, I guess so.
I mean, I would hope so.
I assume.
No, I was gonna wing
don't
it.
know.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know. They haven't said there's going to be any announcements, but we all know
But that would be an announcement.
that's-
Think about it.
That's true.
That's true.
It's true.
Well, whatever there is, we'll talk about it on next week's show. This week, however, only a couple things I want to mention. First of all, this Friday, I believe, August 28th, that right? That's the 28th. An amazing website called Project Stardust is launching, created by our very own Meg Dowell. This is a freaking awesome project that's been coming together for months and months. It is a website created by female Star Wars fans and female writers, creators, editors that are showing an awesome space where women and everyone honestly can go and read articles from that perspective and feel safe in Star Wars, feel awesome about Star Wars. So, Meg, congratulations, guys. This is huge that Meg put this all together.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to have her on the show in a couple weeks too, right? I mean, we got that on the calendar. That's going to be exciting. So
September 24th?
Yep.
That sounds like a
something
real date.
that. She and one of her co-editors are going to come on the show and tell us all about the project, and it's going to be awesome. So be sure to check that out. I don't know if we have the URL for the website. Is it just going to be projectstardust.com? That sounds.
I believe it is.
Right.
And you can also go on Twitter, follow Project Stardust, Instagram, follow Project Stardust. They're very, very good about all their social media promotion. Way quicker than we ever were, that's for sure.
That's right.
So congratulations on that. I can't wait to read your articles and see what you're creating. Gonna be amazing. One other thing I wanted to talk about on a slightly serious note, and then we'll end on an upswing. Beth Revis is an author that wrote Rebel Rising. one of our favorite YA novels that gets not talked about as much as it should, and some from a certain point of view stories. She had her husband had heart surgery like today or yesterday, like right after his birthday. And a couple Star Wars authors kind of put out the call to the Star Wars community because there's a GoFundMe because medical bills are awful and very hard. So I just wanted to say, hey, Utini community, we got a couple bucks. There's a Star Wars author that needs a little bit of help. So you can go on Twitter. You can Google anything like that. Beth Revis is her name. And her husband had heart surgery. And I think if we can help out, that'd be really cool. Because Star Wars communities, I think we're huge. I think we love our authors. And I think it's a good way to show it. So
wow, I just checked this out too. It looks like he had a heart transplant actually. Which
transplant,
is pretty crazy. Wow, she has some really interesting tweets. Kind of hopeful, beautiful things that she said. These are pretty cool. Check it out, Beth Revis.
Yeah. So all our thoughts too going to Bev and your Beth and your family. Quick recovery, and may the fourth be with you and all that. Corey, you put one more thing on our outline here. Can you add one more event that we would like to celebrate?
Yes, absolutely. Rob Neese's birthday was this week. He's been around in our Patron community for a good while. So happy birthday, man. I think he's hanging out with us in the chat tonight too. So happy belated, buddy.
Yeah, we're so glad that you're around. We're so happy that you're here. And to all of our watchers, listeners, patrons, if you got a birthday, let us know. That's great. Hopefully you got some Star Wars books. Hopefully your friends and family all use the URL affiliate links at utini.com. I mean, I'm just saying. That'd be a great birthday present. But, Rob, happy birthday. Moving on from that, a couple podcast updates. Y'all, we had the second episode of one of our new live shows last week with Utini Game Night. Wes, would you like to tell us how that went?
Well, I can give you quite an update. First, I started out by not grooming myself, so I grew my hair long, and I wore my gaming glasses, and I played a little Star Wars Battlefront 2004 edition, which was the first make of Battlefront, and it showed. It was quite old, but it played pretty well because I have 2020 graphics on a 16-year-old game. But it was fun. I had a great time. I was beating levels. The longest I had on redoing a level was probably 5 times until I hit Geonosis, and I time-stamped it at over 2 hours. I was playing this one level that I kept losing at, and it's been irking me ever since. And I think, honestly, it was that level because I went to a different level right after that, and I beat it immediately. So, again, I hope y'all had fun, and I also apologize for making you go through that.
It was so fun to watch because like you'd beat it and the chat would be like, all right, this is it. We'll probably adjust the difficulty or choose another planet. No, Wes, you were committed. You had your mission. You were going to do it.
It was a total walk back in time too, man. Like I logged a lot of hours playing Battlefront back in the day. And oh yeah, like I actually fired up Battlefront 2, which 2005, I think was Battlefront 2. I fired that up and played that for like 30 minutes today just for the heck of it. And it doesn't, it has a completely different feel than Battlefront 1 does. Like Battlefront 1 has got all those video footage from like the original trilogy and stuff in it, and I was like weird, man, this is awesome. Like I don't own the first Battlefront on my computer. I've been kind of thinking about getting it because that was so much fun to watch.
You gotta wait till a Steam sale has on sale for like 75 cents or something.
I'm so glad that we started to do this game night thing. Like this is giving us an excuse to like go back and play older stuff, and we have man, everybody's so jacked about it on the team. The lineup is booked out like a month and a half or something like that of people that want to play. And I think who is this week, Wes? Is it Emma? Emma's
this
playing
week is Emma.
Yeah, Emma's playing this week, and I think she's going to play some modern Battlefront. So it'll be fun to kind of see the comparison there. And Emma is she's kind of a badass at Battlefront too.
Yes.
So it's going to be pretty fun to watch, I think.
Yeah. So tune in Wednesday night on this very channel, 7 p.m. Eastern. Emma is going to take time out of her insane school week. Emma, we're thinking of you. We got your back. Zoom messed up the entire country today. You're going to be okay. We got you to play some Battlefront 2. So definitely come in and check that out. One more thing we launched because, I don't know, it's August. That's what we do. On last Friday, which is not its normal night, we launched the first ever live Legends Look Back episode. And y'all, This show used to be behind the paywall. It used to be audio only. We abolished both of those in one fell swoop as Jared and Freddie came on for a live show, and I loved it. I thought they did a great
It
job.
was fantastic. The theme looks great. Ryan did such a killer job adjusting our sort of branding and stuff to match the Legends look like, sort of 90s retro theme. It looks fantastic. And going, like, I'm not sure if nobody has ever tried like this type of production, especially when you have multiple people. Like, it's one thing to do like a live Twitch show with multiple people, but to do it like when everybody is remote and like we have cameras that are like all transmitting to one place, like it's a huge production. And like, I think that Jared and Freddie did an absolutely killer job for it to be their first time ever. Like, it looked super professional, and like, I'm super proud of that. And man, their show is so much fun to watch. So I'm really glad that it's live. That's going to be uploaded to YouTube later this week. And we're going to push it out to its own podcast feed, too, this week as well. So I'll make sure we announce that. But you'll be able to find Legends Look Back as its own independent podcast in iTunes in the next week or so. And we'll be sure to let you guys know when we do that.
It's like they're taking their steps. They're flying away from the nest. Other metaphors about aging.
My balls.
Congratulations, Jared, Freddie. Great show. And there's going to be a bunch of guests coming on that soon. I know Patrick is going to be on that show soon as well. So keep your eyes peeled and your ears. Don't peel your ears. You get what I mean. Moving on to Patreon updates, my friends. Our Patreon, as we said, it did just lose Legends Look Back, but it gained a family or something like that. We want to thank, though, 3 members of the family that just joined in, including Bria McClanahan, Nate Guthrie, and Jedi Pig. All just joined the Patreon this past week. So thank you all so much. We're so excited to have you there. As a reminder, even though Legends Look Back is now outside the paywall, you're still getting episodes of Light Speed Skipping, which just came out today. There was some insanity with me, Meg, Heather, Wes, and Jared. It got very silly, and I really loved that episode. And of course, every Wednesday, Charlie and I are still releasing The Ghost Crew, where we go through Star Wars Rebels one episode at a time. Everything at patreon.com/Utini. All right. This week, I have stolen aggressively the Patron of the Week segment from Charles. I'm sorry, buddy. You got a whole roundtable. I had to do something.
That's fair enough. The people are going to hear my voice enough tonight.
It's going to be really, really fantastic. But tonight, we wanted to highlight a patron that's very dear to our hearts, and that is Cheryl Bell. Cheryl has been a patron for a while now. She's been a phenomenal friend in the community to us, and she sent us something that I would like to read to you all just now. So here we go. She says, "Hi, everyone. My name is Cheryl. I live on Vancouver Island in Canada." I'm so jealous, Cheryl. "And I'm a Patreon member of the Living Force Pod at Utini. I became a patron in March of this year. My Star Wars journey is a long one, so I'm actually going to try to condense it as best I can. Star Wars has basically always been a part of my life. I was born the year before Return of the Jedi came out, so I grew up watching the original trilogy with my family on VHS. Yes, OG. Nice. We're the type of family that when we really love a movie, we watch it repeatedly, much to the chagrin of my mom. So when I say that I've watched all the films hundreds of times each, I have. I fell in love with Han Solo at a very young age, probably 5 or 6 years old, as my favorite character of all time, and he remains so to this day. Liking Star Wars wasn't cool when I was a kid. I didn't really have anyone to share it with. I didn't go around telling people I loved Star Wars the same way I didn't tell many people I was a huge Michael Jackson fan in the mid-90s. I remember when the prequels came out, I was super excited and in full-blown Star Wars mode at the time. 98, 99 was also around the time that I discovered Star Wars Insider magazines as well as the books. I luckily managed to pick up Heir to the Empire as one of my first reads, and I was hooked on Timothy Zahn's trilogy. I absolutely adored the characters he introduced. I also loved how he wrote Han. I was always thinking, yeah, this is totally something Han would say or do. And he finally wrote my shipping of Luke and Mara into existence in his book, Vision of the Future. I was very happy. And then Star Wars sort of faded for me for a bit. I stopped reading the books. There were no new movies. Life happens. It does. And then one day, I heard Disney bought the franchise and did away with all those EU stories, which at first upset me. But then I thought about it, and it totally made sense they had to do it. And then came the sequel trilogy. I was so freaking excited and was back to having Star Wars more regularly in my life again. I watched The Last Jedi 8 times in the theater. It's hard saying, Cheryl. I fell in love with the new characters, especially Ben Solo. So then we come to my discovery of Star Wars podcasts. I started a new job in September of 2019, and where I work, we're allowed to listen to whatever we want. That is when I discovered Spotify for the first time, and after listening to music for a couple months, I had the epiphany of realizing, hey, I could listen to Star Wars soundtracks. So I plugged Star Wars into the search bar, and lo and behold, I saw the greatest single discovery in my history of fandom since the books. Star Wars podcasts. Mind blown. So I started listening to podcasts for a few weeks after The Mandalorian started. The first podcast I ever listened to and completely chose at random was Friends of the Force by the lovely Brad Whipple. On one of his From a Certain Point of View episodes, he had Eric on as a guest. Eric talked about his website called Utini that helped people get into the EU. It was then that I was reminded about Star Wars books and was like, maybe I should start reading Star Wars books again. I also remembered how daunting the Star Wars EU timeline could be. So I decided I was going to go check out this Living Force podcast that Eric was a part of. I absolutely loved listening to Eric, Corey, Charles, and Wes. Their humor, the way they bounced off one another, Eric's amazing hosting ability, and the total laugh out loud, off the rail moments were what made me absolutely love the pod. I remember when I got the Discord invite when joining Patreon, and most importantly, I remember how I felt when I was introduced myself in the introductions channel and the overwhelming response I got from so many warm and welcoming people. Never underestimate the importance of that channel, guys, because this was a huge moment for me. The Discord and the live chats with the Utini team and its community has meant so much to me, and I'm never going to be able to thank you all enough for that. To have friends to talk to and geek out with about Star Wars has been something that I've always wanted, but never had. Well, Cheryl, you do, and we are so freaking happy to have you. That was beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah,
that was
absolutely.
great.
Cheryl's been around for a long time. She's been like kind of one of our absolutely more loyal folks that we've had in our Patreon. It's always fun to hang out with her. She's at our we do Aftermath. It's like a little get together post show kind of hangout for the Inquisitorious tier and up on Patreon, and she's like always there. And Cheryl, we've absolutely loved having you in our community. You're a ton of fun. I'm super glad to be able to honor you as the Patron of the Week this week.
Absolutely. All right, last couple things before we're going to hit a quick ad break and then come back to Charles for Aphra Talk. Book news and book releases, everyone. We are about to go into a busy couple of weeks. We have a couple of books I have next to me right here. This week, tomorrow, August 25th, we have the Clone Wars, Stories of Light and Dark being released. And then next week, we have Thrawn Ascendancy, Chaos Rising. September 1st. This is going to be a big one. I can guarantee it. Then we have a little bit of a break. November 10th, From a Certain Point of View, Empire Strikes Back, and Alphabet Squadron, Victory's Price, March 2nd, 2021. And of course, The High Republic is in the middle of all that as well. I would encourage you guys, if you want something to read in the break between Thrawn and From a Certain Point of View, you can go on to Utini, find some Legends books, find some canon you need to catch up on, or pick some Star Wars authors, go find their other books they're writing and support them that way. Oh, all right. With that, everyone, we're going to take a really quick break. You're going to see a little thing about game night, and then we're going to come back and talk about Dr. Aphra, the audio drama. See you in a sec.
Doing them drugs, them adrenal drugs. Whoa. Oh, that was a much better dad.
All right, we have a new theme. Doing them drugs. Great stuff. Oh, that ad made me very happy. Also, looking in the chat real quick, Cheryl is driving home. Drive safe. All right, Charles. I hope you are hyped up enough from that Utini Game Night ad to talk about Dr. Aphra. Are you up for the challenge, man?
Ready, man. I've used my adrenal stems. And I'm ready to hop into this conversation.
Let's go.
About Dr. Aphra. So, guys, we're going to start with a quick plot synopsis like we normally do. Dr. Aphra, intergalactic archaeologist, agent of chaos, and wisecracking smartass, has never exactly had trouble finding trouble. But when the infamous Darth Vader enters her life, her usual level of havoc is amplified. With newfound droid companions 000 and BT-1, Aphra is given a new mission, secretly working for Vader to help consolidate his power, strike back at the fledgling rebellion, and uncover secrets from the past. Despite their working partnership, Emperor Palpatine suspects that something is amiss, and Dr. Aphra soon learns that some secrets are best left unearthed. So, gentlemen, rate this audio drama from a 1 to 10, but don't say just why yet. Eric, what do you got?
Okay. It's been a while since I reviewed this one, so I legit don't remember what I put on the site. So that's fun. I'm gonna say 8.4. Yeah.
8.4. That sounds
Sure.
very well thought out and not at all
doesn't it?
arbitrary. All right.
Yeah. 8.4.
Corey, what
Sorry.
do you got?
So I always try to do my book reviews in context, right? Like of like all the other books that we've reviewed before, and like I always pull up the UT reading order page on the website because
someone did work and research.
That's
Cool.
right, and I'm definitely not browsing the site and just trying to stall so I can look at the numbers. Yeah, so like looking at kind of the ranges of stuff that I have here, I think I'm gonna give this one a 7.5.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Wes, what do you think, man?
Well, I did listen to it all the way through, and I chunked it up a couple bits. I'm going to say 7.2.
7.2. I
All
like it.
right.
Charles, what about you, man?
I think these are all good answers, and I'm kind of right around there with you. I'm going to say a 7.3.
You said it, but I'm kind of right. Those are good, but I'm right.
Eric, you always grossly overshoot all of our scores. What are you talking about?
No, I only grossly shoot them if I like them a lot. The end. I'm getting
All right,
better.
well, you know what? He's got about an hour to defend his answer, right?
I do.
That's right. That's right.
So let's jump right in because this is just a one-parter, guys. We're gonna kind of fly through this one.
Let's do it.
But to kind of open up, obviously this audio drama told a story that had already really been told in the comics. So how do you feel about taking a story that's really already been done and retelling it in a new format?
I think it's a really cool idea. I think that there is the risk you can run about not being quite original, but the way Sarah Kuhn wrote it, I think it showed, this can be a different experience. Like even if I knew some of the plot points, I think it was a really cool way to illustrate the differences between all storytelling and visual comic storytelling. I like that as an experiment.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. Like, I definitely think that Dr. Aphra is like a worthy enough character to have that done to. I think it is particularly a good idea in this particular case because Dr. Aphra is a comic character, and we all know that the comic characters are a little more skipped over, I think, by a large part of the community. So, having a comic character brought to life in a different medium, I think is really, really cool. So I'm all about it. I would love to see this done with other comics, actually. Like the Vader comic would be pretty cool to kind of see adapted into maybe a novel or to other stuff. I like retellings of stories. Like comics are very unique in their ability to tell a story. So I was a big fan when they announced this, that they were going from a comic to audiobook. Well, audio drama.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I think that really you're just going to bring more people in on these characters and more people in on these stories because not everyone reads comics. We know that. Not everyone listens to audio dramas or reads the books either. And we know that. But kind of the more different mediums that you use, the higher chance that these characters kind of become, part of the mainstream. So now, did you both read all of the associated comics before you came to this project?
I think I did. I'm pretty sure.
At least some of them.
Yeah, I think honestly it might have been when they were coming out though, so it had been a long enough time that I didn't remember every beat. But I definitely read Vader Down. I definitely read all the Vader comics as they were coming out. I didn't always read all the Aphra books herself, but those really weren't featured here. So yeah. As I'm talking about it, I totally did.
I think I might have. I'm kind of with Eric. I can't remember if I've read them. Like you guys know, I don't read comics kind of as they come out or digital or anything. But like I do have a whole bunch of the hardcovers back there. Actually, right where that light is shining on the wall is kind of where. Actually, there might be Aphra next to my head that you can see. I can't tell if it is or not. Anyway, I've read the hardcover Aphra, but I don't know if all of Aphra is contained in that hardcover. I cannot remember. Like. We're working on this part of the UT site right now where we like break down like what comics are in what graphic novels and in what hardcovers and that sort of thing. And I cannot remember if the Dr. Aphra hardcover contains all of the single issues. I think it contains most of them, and I have read that. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
Right. Well, then, so as people who are at least familiar with the character before ever coming to this project, how did you feel about Emily Wozeller's depiction of Aphra? Was it spot on for you? Did it translate well, like from the character that you knew in the panels to the audio format, or was it a little over the top? Like, how did you feel about the performance?
I think it definitely took some getting used to. Like, it's over the top. Yes, absolutely, it's over the top. But like, that's kind of how Aphra is in the comics. And like, I found myself asking the question a lot that we ask when we're talking about like Marvel movies, right? Is like, do comic characters, when you translate them into something else, like live action, for example, like, you have to be cognizant that they are comic characters, right? Like,
Sure.
Spider-Man has been done a whole bunch of times, and like Tom Holland kind of captures, I think, Spider-Man better than most other people do, and because he gets kind of both the wittiness, and so comic characters have like certain characteristics, I think, that you have to sort of overact to get them out, and I think that was sort of what happened. It did take some getting used to, though, for sure. It bothered me for a little bit, but I got used to it.
Yeah, I think for me, honestly, Emily Wozeller's performance made me like the character even more than I ever had in comics before. To be honest, I think that her like theatricality she had in her voice performance, I think really helped. To your point, Corey, like it's a little much, and I think to me, I read that as a theatrical choice. And,
yeah,
and
I did too.
Yeah. But like, given my performance background, like I gave into that a little easier just because of what I've read and things like that. Which is like, again, each their own. And I think that helped me get in quickly. And I think that Wozeller, just with the levels she went through from highs to lows, really got me invested in the audio. Because I think when you're looking at something, right, you can follow along a little easier. Even if it's static art, you can follow like a character's literal movement or their ideas. And she had to do literally everything with her voice. And I think she did it super effectively. And I super dug it. Yeah. I really liked her a lot. And because of her, I'd probably honestly rather hear another Aphra audio drama than maybe just like read an Aphra comic straight up.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. And that's really a way to put it, like to look at it as a theatrical choice. I think I sort of fell into that. It took me a little longer to kind of get into that, but like you can't get away from the fact that audio dramas are unique, and like we don't really know exactly what to expect with Star Wars audio dramas because we only have 2 now, right? So I certainly was able to keep a super open mind about the performance. Jose in the chat actually just asked an interesting question. He said, was I okay with the first-person storytelling? Because everybody knows that I'm not a big fan of I, Jedi, and that book is like the only Star Wars book that's first-person. And I didn't mind it at all, actually. And I think it was because of the context in which it was told. Like, it was like it's like Lando doing his little recording or whatever, like in the Solo film. So I didn't mind it at all, actually. I think if I had to give any small amount of criticism, I think I would say I kind of wish that there was a little more of the other characters. Now, I don't know if that was purely because of writing, or if it was because of COVID and the difficulty of kind of recording all their audios. Like we talked to Sarah Kuhn about how challenging it was to film this all remotely and record it all remotely, so maybe that had something to do with it. But I think that Aphra is, I don't know, guys, what do you think? Like 80% of the voice acting?
Oh, yeah.
Like it's
at least 80.
Yeah, it's a lot. Like, and I don't think it was quite that much in the Dooku audio drama, maybe. Like,
no, because you got Asajj Ventress, like a pretty healthy amount in that too.
Right. So like, I did notice that, and I was like, well, I mean, I kind of hate that we got this really cool new format of an audio drama, and we're not getting a lot of other characters, or at least a lot of screen time for other characters. But, that's kind of the medium of a comic being told in this format. So, I can get behind it.
Yeah, I mean, for what it's worth, I think that Emily Wozeller did a great job, right? I think that she was true to Aphra, because Aphra is that larger than life character that you're mentioning, Corey. And so I think that, did she feel a little bit over the top? The answer is yes for me as well. Like, there was a sort of a buy-in process, but once I was bought in, I was all about it, and I really enjoyed it. And I think she did a great job.
Wes, what about you, man? Did you find, what are your sort of thoughts on kind of her character, like the amount of voice acting she had? Like, were you like super used to it immediately? Did you take some getting used to?
I guess it took some getting used to, but I kind of liked it, and the fact that they've been talking about before I had listened to it. They've been talking about the um, like the Lando TV series, and then they're always talking about having it be the from the Lando Calrissian Chronicles or something like that. So I was like, this is kind of the same thing. Um,
Mhm.
but I didn't read any of the comics beforehand, so it was all new to me. So I mean, it might have taken some getting used to, but not long. I kind of liked it.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and now
Totally.
both of y'all have mentioned the Calrissian Chronicles that we saw in Solo: A Star Wars Story, and you know there were a few different similarities I think between this project and that, even though we just got a very small amount of it in that movie.
Mhm.
Obviously it's first person, it's that person talking about their adventures, but I think even more notably is that there's an unreliable narrator, right? I mean, at one point
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
in this story, Aphra even says the phrase, "You shouldn't even trust me to tell my own story," right?
That's right.
So, what do you think that introduces, in stories in general, and then specifically with Aphra? And I mean, do you like that?
Oh man, I thought that was like the most rad choice of this whole project for me. Like I loved the fact that every so often she would stop and be like, "Yeah, delete that," or and then so it's like cool. So I'm listening to this. What has she deleted that I haven't heard? Like
Right.
I think that little bit of we're only getting her perspective. She's only giving us what she wants, which made those little moments where she would get really honest and really vulnerable from time to time, like really impactful. So I,
Right.
I loved that choice, and I thought it was honestly really brave though, because that could have gone horribly bad,
Yeah, it could
and I
have.
think it worked.
And like it allowed for some kind of interesting creative storytelling too, like the whole
Mm.
that little heist bit, right, where she like went back and said the kind of what was the Wookiee character's name? I can never remember his name.
Black
Chrysanthemum.
Black
Chrysanthemum.
Chrysanthemum, yeah. Black
Yeah.
Chrysanthemum, like when she introduced him and was like, "Oh yeah, I left out that little detail that like he was all involved in this plot," and like that was really cool creative storytelling. I think that we were able to sort of get, and I think that also sort of ties into my answer of like why I didn't really mind the first person storytelling is because it was done so uniquely. I think that it didn't feel jarring at all.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, I agree, guys. I think it was a great choice, and I think it played particularly well with this character because she is that scoundrel. She is unreliable inherently,
Mhm.
I think. So
Yeah.
that was a lot of fun. But I want to get to one of the hard hitting questions that I have here in my prompts. In chapter 6, Aphra thinks to herself, does Darth Vader eat tea and cookies? Does Darth Vader eat, period? And I think that's a great question. What is Darth Vader's favorite food? Go.
That is a very good question. I've often wondered how has that been addressed anywhere in the expanded universe? Like, surely we're not the first people to ask this question of like.
No, guys, it's easy. Darth Vader's favorite food is vengeance, I think, and that's that's all.
Like
he eats.
the new Batman trailer.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
Vader, yeah.
I was
I think
going to
that-
say spaghetti, but yeah, vengeance.
Vengeance and spaghetti, they go very well together. But I think that's a great point though, because like I feel like in Plagueis, doesn't he like not eat for 3 years or something because the dark side is feeding him, and
I
like
don't
Bane
know.
doesn't like
That
they always
sounds
go to
like
the dark side,
Probably.
like
crap.
sustains people. So I don't know.
That's funny.
Okay. Well, I was just curious, something that I thought we needed to get to. But let's talk more about the story in this audio drama, because even though it was adapted from all of these comics, there was some new story in this project. And we actually talked to Sarah Kuhn about this a lot. So go listen to the interview if you haven't heard that yet. But the bulk of that new material really came from this romantic relationship between Dr. Aphra and Sana Staros. So what were y'all's thoughts on getting an LGBTQ woman of color as the protagonist of one of Star Wars's first forays into canon audio dramas? Like this is pretty cutting edge stuff, right? Like not just the audio drama format for Star Wars, but the choice of the leading role.
It was awesome. It was freaking awesome, and
There's
I
really
like
no way to round it. It was fantastic.
yeah, like and we like you said, we asked Sarah Kuhn about it, and she's like, "Oh yeah, no, that was very intentional. That was very much thought of." And Aphra has been such a great character for the queer community, and to really focus on the romance between her and Sana was so great, because it like I feel like a lot of times in sci-fi and fantasy in the past, like whenever there are any kind of queer romances, one of them usually dies, or like it's always tragic. And in this one, like, yeah, they had breakups, but there was like giddy schoolgirl like crushes happening, and it was fun and sweet and very much in character. And it didn't jump out as like, what a weird thing, or like they're really forcing it. Like, it was just a romance part of the book, and I thought it was handled super well. I also thought the way she talks about Sana is like, well, yeah, she's how could you not just fall off of whatever ledge you were holding on to whenever she walks around?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I mean, obviously we noticed it and we were like, this is great. So I can't imagine what it was like being a queer woman of color, listening to this and hearing yourself represented in that way. Must have just been incredible. And like way overdue.
Totally. And we talk about that a lot, like at Utinia. Like, we want people to I want people to feel like Star Wars is for them. I want it to be a universe they can escape to. I want them to feel like they could be the superhero in the story, right? And like the more representation I think we get in Star Wars, the easier that becomes. Like, people can see this, and this is easier for a couple of white guys talking about Star Wars to say, because like, Star Wars has always been full of white guys, right? Like, so it's cool to see. I really like that people can see themselves in the story. So, and this is really interesting that we're talking about this kind of this week too, because last week in the Star Wars publishing world, we had a little bit of controversy, kind of surrounding the Bounty Hunter comic. Kind of got a lot of bad press, and so we've been talking a lot about what's the refrigerator thing.
Women in refrigerators.
Women in refrigerators trope. Yeah, so super interesting. You can look this up. It's on Wikipedia, actually. Women in refrigerators. And back in the 90s, there was a group of female comic writers that kind of got together and decided that they were going to sort of shine a light on the fact that comic characters, particularly women, it just seems crazy to even think about that it was only women at the time, and now we have so much more representation in comics. But like then, it was even controversial for women to be kind of featured heavily in comics. And this is in the 90s even, and so they built an entire website kind of surrounding this trope that whenever girlfriends or significant female superheroes are introduced in comics, they're frequently killed off rather quickly. They are not able to kind of return, whereas Batman can get killed 100 times and can always come back in a future comic. Like, female characters tend to die and then stay dead. And like, this is very similar to that. Like, we've seen this over and over again. And it sounds like I haven't actually read the Bounty Hunter comic, but I did kind of see some of the panels that people were kind of talking about on Twitter and stuff. And it sounds like maybe they pigeonholed some female and some LGBTQ characters into that unfortunate trope that we really should be past now in 2020, right? So, I'm happy to see it done really, really well. I really appreciate it. I do not at all think it took away and had any sort of negative aspect to the story at all. I thought it was really good storytelling. The romance felt
Star Wars.
genuine.
I mean, Star Wars romance is also has always been such a cool part of any tale. Like, it's it's love stories and space epics.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's great.
And it felt cool. I mean, the whole library scene was fantastic.
It's so good.
Yeah. I mean, look at how we feel about Lost Stars. So we're no strangers. We're not shying away from romance in Star Wars. But to get back to the point that you made, Corey, if a type of person exists here on Earth, on our one planet, they probably exist in a galaxy far, far away, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so they should be represented, and they should not only be in these stories, but they should be able to feel like they're the hero in these stories too.
Absolutely.
Right? So the fact that it was not just the character that was included, but it was the character, right? It was Dr. Aphra. I think that's huge. And I hope that we see more of that.
Totally.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But it wasn't just Aphra that was going on a lot of these missions in the books. There were a lot of characters that they pulled in, and a couple of new additions, at least to the Aphra storyline. We've known about them since the comics. Were 000 and BT1. And so I just want to get y'all's overall thoughts, because I really feel like these droids add so much to the story. Obviously they're kind of like the, anti C-3PO and anti R2-D2 in a way.
Sure.
But how did y'all feel about them? What do you think they bring to the story?
They're great, man. Like, when they were first, like you said, when they first in the comic, it's clearly 3PO and R2 as evil people. And what I liked about this comic specifically is that I always had Triple Zero's voice in my head as 3PO, but maybe a bit deeper. And then you listen to it, and it's a completely different voice. And I'm like, oh, well, of course, he's a completely different droid.
Yes.
But that was kind of fun. It was really cool to actually hear, oh, droids don't just sound like 3PO with different pitches.
Yeah.
So I like that a lot.
I really like, well, it's kind of an important question to ask, too, because, Phantom Menace, we had the silver, protocol droid that sounded like a female C-3PO. Like, it was exactly like
right.
that. So, yeah. So, it's funny. His voice sounded a lot. Let's see here. We're talking about 000 right now. 000's voice sounded a lot like, I can't remember the character's name in the Rebels TV show that kind of was like the
AP5.
Yeah.
AP5.
Yeah, he sounded.
Oh my gosh.
I think he sounded a lot like that. And I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. The scene where where they spray painted him gold so he could pretend to be C-3PO was incredible. Like, it was fantastic.
Yeah. And I mean, shout out to the voice actor there who's Sean. It's Sean. I forgot his last name. It's Fadias and Dooku. And shout out to him because he had to play himself playing 000, playing 3PO.
Yes.
Incredible stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. They're so much fun. I want just spin-offs, just with them. I would watch them walking on a desert planet for a whole movie, and I would still enjoy it. But there were a lot of other characters that were in this as well. Obviously, Aphra first was, she premiered in the Darth Vader comic, so Vader features heavily in this comic book, and we see other familiar faces too, like Boba Fett, like the Emperor, and time and time again in this story, we see Aphra kind of outsmarting a lot of these characters, almost shockingly easily in a few cases. With Boba Fett in particular, I was kind of taken aback when she basically tricks him into telling her top secret information by saying, and this is paraphrasing, I already know what you know, though I'm not going to tell you what that is, so you might as well just tell me or I'll hang up this call. And he totally falls for it. And, while that makes him deserve his death in the Sarlacc pit all the more, do you feel like, there were times in this story where Vader or Boba or someone like that was kind of bested really easily? Did that take away from their general impressiveness at all? Or were you just yeah, I could see this?
I kind of want to go back to what we were talking about Aphra is telling the story how she wants to tell it.
Sure.
Yeah. So I didn't actually, I think at first glance, I guess, or at first listen, Charles, I was kind of with you. I was like, this is Boba Fett, man. He just totally gave everything away to Aphra, and Vader is just falling for her tricks all the time. What the heck? But then I'm like, yeah, but this is Aphra, and she's lying through her teeth probably this whole time. So I kind of thought that I kind of justified it in my head a little bit like that.
Yeah, I like that mix. I do, but I also at the same time kind of using the same idea, like the fact that we have seen Darth Vader and Boba Fett at their most badass epic, right? And we haven't really seen them in the day-to-day. So I think there is definitely a possibility that they're on an off day. Yeah. I'm not seeing Darth Vader, Darth Lord of the Sith. I'm seeing Darth Vader, the middle management guy that's just oh my God, fine, whatever. Get away from me.
Yes.
I'm not in a military thing right now. And I think Aphra seems throughout this audio drama, she is very good at reading people. Sometimes she ignores that and just says what she wants anyway. But I think she is pretty good at realizing, okay, Boba Fett, you really want this contract and you kind of want to impress people a lot. So I'm gonna tinker with that a little bit and twist that to my advantage and just do little things here and there and poke until I get my way. And then we'll be buds. So I think she is so unique as a character that seeing people like Vader and Boba Fett meet her, it's they've never encountered anyone like Aphra before. How do you deal with her? She's not a commander. So I did like that as well.
That's a good point.
Right. Yeah. Well, thank you for the mental image, Eric. I'm picturing Darth Vader at the coffee pot, just being oh, Vader.
Well,
Aphra, not now. It's too early.
Doesn't the Emperor get on to Vader for killing all his officers all the time, in the comics and stuff? That has occurred multiple times. It has occurred multiple times in the comics and books where he's you can't just kill everybody. So I mean, he's got to
It is very hard to pay for all of the training videos we have to make for everyone that must be replaced.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah.
Can you imagine the onboarding process after the destruction of the first Death Star? Like, holy crap! Like,
Oh my God.
they had to lose like 30% of it, more than that, like 50% of the military or something like that with the destruction of the first Death Star. Like, that would have been terrible.
Yeah.
Hey
Could you imagine
everyone,
going-
welcome to day 1 of Empire training. We realize that you're here because we all got slaughtered by a single missile. You are going to make another giant death weapon moon base. Please get your uniforms here.
Remember, everyone, synergy. We're a team.
And the coffee costs after the first cup. Please.
That's kind of what happened, though,
Nick.
right? Like in Lost
Yeah.
Stars, they accelerated everybody's
Yes.
rank.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because Sienna, like, that's what they were saying, like, to backstab her, like, oh, you just rose because of the Death Star.
Yeah, exactly.
She's like, actually, I'm
right.
really good at this.
That's right.
Yeah, this is not that far fetched. But you know, Aphra, I think there was a kind of depiction of Vader in this story, and I love what you were saying, Corey, about how, you know, maybe it's because she is that unreliable narrator, and I didn't connect those dots, so I like that idea. But Vader in particular, I think, gets a little bit shown up in this story in a way that we haven't seen since Thrawn Alliances, you know, by the Grand
Yeah.
Admiral himself. And we get these moments of Vader being like really stoic and private, and then he shares super intimate information that Aphra even says specifically is, quote, way above her pay grade. Like, he'll just like mutter something about like Padme out of nowhere, and then it'll be like vital information. Did that seem out of character to you, or was it you just fell back on the same thing? Like, I don't know, that Aphra is kind of making some of this up as she goes along.
You know, I actually really liked the small vulnerability with Vader, because I think Vader is a unique character in that he is definitely, you know, like part man, part machine, right? Like, and I think these scenes are definitely the man Vader and not the machine, right? And we know that he has a soft spot for Luke in the movies, even. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
Luke is able to turn in from the dark side at the very end,
Mhm.
and you know, we're starting to get a little bit more really cool content surrounding Padme in the comics now too, right? So Vader still definitely has a soft spot for Padme, and it's not all just evil dark side, right? Like, we can't forget that that's what drove him to this anyway, right? So I didn't think it. I thought I felt a little bit out of character that he would just like mutter stuff, but also he's sort of like, I think he just is expecting to just kill Aphra whenever he's done with her at some point.
Yeah.
Dude,
So
yeah.
maybe
Yeah,
that
well,
he just doesn't really care that she knows a little bit more, perhaps.
I think that's Vader's MO. Like, I think that maybe he mutters that stuff all the time.
Yeah.
And, like, if you say anything, you're just gonna die.
Yeah.
So don't.
And also,
Like, you know, maybe, like, hear what
also
Vader
he's,
said? Dude, shut up.
that's right. Yeah. I didn't hear anything. I don't know what you're talking about.
No, but I mean,
Go back to your
sorry.
console, Carl. Like, come on. Yeah, there's also the whole fact that like he is actively having Aphra like work on some of this stuff for him too, right? Like she's
Yeah.
involved in tracking down Skywalker. So, you know, I think it kind of fits in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't mind it. I like it. I think it's fun. And again, I'm a sucker for vulnerable moments for powerful people. Like, it's very sweet when you see the evil guy be like, "But what if I wasn't mad all the time? Like, I just want to be a real boy." And it's like, "Aw, buddy."
Well, I agree with Eric because maybe he does that all the time. It's just not talked about because the whole reason that he's Vader is because of Padme, right?
That's right.
The whole reason he
Yeah.
turned himself that way is because he was in love with his wife and he wanted her to live, and he choked her, man. I mean, ugh.
Right. Exactly.
And then his best friend, you know, lied about it.
Yeah, I mean, this is also
Wait, you told me she. Wait a minute. Palpatine? That's not the truth. I don't know. I want that scene. He shouldn't have killed him so quick.
Charles. I think this idea too of like nobody talking about Vader is actually something that we can legitimately talk about, because I think this is similar. This is like a similar trope to like I'm sure you've worked with these type of people before, Charles, like a super angry surgeon that has like a really, really bad temper, and just nobody acknowledges it at all. Like they just lose their absolute mind in the operating room, and they'll throw shit and like yell in people's faces, and everybody just acts like it's just a regular part of the environment. And that is absolutely like not acceptable in any way. And thank God we're like moving away from that sort of like era in medicine, but it definitely still happens. Like I've seen some pretty awful stuff, and just nobody talks about it. Like maybe in hush corners over lunch, like, whoa, did you see that Dr. Smith, man? Like I thought he was gonna choke her to death in the operating room, right? like, but that's it. Like nobody ever talks about it openly. So
it's like the undercover boss sketch with Kylo Ren.
Yeah, yes,
Yes.
it really is. Yes, totally is.
Perfect example.
Where's my muffin, Matt?
Oh man.
Yeah, no,
Amazing.
it's a good parallel, and I sincerely hope that literally everyone on the Death Star knows all of Vader's deepest, darkest secrets, and he just thinks that nobody knows.
Oh my god! Okay, sorry to go off the rails again. So, do you remember the robot chicken skit where they're speaking of onboarding, they're training everybody to pretend to be choked by Vader? Do you remember that? And they're like this guy's standing up in front of all these officers. He's like, "All right, everyone, now remember, we have to pretend that Vader can choke us to death. He thinks that he can do it. So whenever he gets really mad at you, he's gonna hold up his hand, and he has somebody demonstrating, and he's like, you pretend to choke, you fall, two people come, they take you away, we pretend that you're dead, we give you a disguise, you resume your duties." And the guy comes back, and he's like, "Charles over here has been choked 12 times. He's got like a mullet and a hat and like glasses and a mustache," and it's fantastic.
Amazing.
Yes, one day we will get around to just commenting on all of the Robot Chicken and Family Guy specials. That has to happen.
Hey,
We quote them too
Patreon
often.
goals.
We do have a Night of the Opera coming up. Actually,
That would be a lot of fun.
we were gonna watch a whole bunch of Mandalorian leading up to the new season, but I don't know. Robot Chicken might be a good contender.
We'll see. But getting back to the point that Wes made, which is that Vader is Vader because of Padme Amidala. There's some pretty crucial stuff involving Padme in this story, and we get a specific scene when Aphra and the droids go to confront this guy named Commodex Ton, and he was the mortician who was responsible for Padme's burial. And Padme basically tells Ton, in a recording that we get to hear, that she's about to go out on a mission that she might not return from. And so I guess Ton may be the last person to actually hear from Padme before she went to Mustafar. And beyond that, she ends up revealing she's pregnant. She asked Ton to assist in keeping the child safe if need be, because they don't do prenatal ultrasounds in a galaxy far, far away, and they don't know there are two until they're in the birthing suite. Ultimately, Ton divulges that Padme had a son before she died. He tells Aphra this and says that he was taken away. So let's talk about this scene, because we got to hear Catherine Tabor be the voice of Padme, so that was amazing. What were y'all's takeaways from this scene, including the fact that Ton said that there was a son that was taken away and didn't mention a daughter?
Yeah, that was interesting. This was the one scene that I did find, I think, a little bit far-fetched, in just like from a plot perspective, that Aphra just happened to come across this recording, and it didn't it disable itself after she watched it or something like that? Like she couldn't make it come back on again, or
maybe so.
She was just wandering around this guy's house, and this guy has this secret he's supposed to take to his grave, just like hanging on his wall. I don't know. I found it a little bit much for me. I like the idea that like she was able to tell him, but I'm not crazy about the idea of just the way that Aphra stumbled on it. So I don't know.
Yeah, I'm kind of like I'm in a similar boat of like, was it hard to believe that they just found that? Yeah, probably. But I'm also like, admittedly, such a freaking sucker for like the Padme mythos. Like this is honestly a rather new thing, probably in the last 2 years, since Padme has been coming into the EU so much. But like anything involving like the secret birth of the twins and all that stuff, I am like, oh yeah, I am here for it. So whenever that came on, I'm like, ooh, Naboo things? Great. That sounds cool. But I do find it interesting that it's the boy then the girl, or they only hear about the son. because Luke is born first, I guess, technically, but by like a second. So does that mean that whatever person was watching the security recording of this like secret one is like, all
Show's
right,
over.
Luke, pause, done, he had a son, and then you just run out and like, dude, finish the recording. You're about to see the sequel, man.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. I mean, I feel like it might have been a little bit better if maybe instead of like saying that like they knew that there was a son, like maybe that they found the medical records or something like that. Like you say, Charles, prenatal ultrasounds. Now, you and I both know that like it is plausible, like even with modern medicine, to miss a twin gestation. That is possible, right? I mean, we do have that happen. In fact, it's actually kind of hard. I've done this before. It's pretty hard to find both heartbeats. Makes you real nervous when you're trying to find those heartbeats, and mom's like, "Is there two of them?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm sure. Just let me find it." It's always pretty nerve wracking, and it's pretty challenging to find both of them. So, maybe they just missed that she was pregnant with twins, and I don't know. Maybe if they would have found the medical records, it would have been a little more plausible, I suppose. But
yeah, and maybe there aren't medical records because that speculum hands robot definitely can't type on a keyboard.
Ooh,
absolutely.
Maybe the keys are enormous, they're like this big, like, and this is like kung 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 kung. That's how they type.
This is maybe the craziest tangent we've ever gotten onto on a roundtable. I'm just gonna throw that out. And to address Juliana in the chat, being like, "Is this really only one roundtable?" Well, we'll find out.
Yeah, I know.
I really want to try.
Myself.
I want to try to deliver a baby with nothing but speculums. I want to see if I can do it.
Patreon goal.
My wife in the other room goes, "What are you talking about?"
If we hit $100,000 a month, Corey will deliver your baby with speculums. There you go.
Notice how Corey's going to do this while his malpractice insurance is covered by his residency
That
program.
is absolutely correct. Absolutely correct.
Anyways, getting back to the story, though, Aphra is, in a lot of ways, she's both a hero and a villain. And she does some really questionable things in this story. Thinking back to Tan, again, she orders the torture and the murder of him. And I'm curious, does that affect how you view her character? Like, did that make you think any less of her? Or were you like, well, that's Aphra, that's her being a scoundrel?
Yeah.
A little bit.
The second one.
Yeah.
Okay.
A little bit. I think she sells it pretty well. Like the fact that she's so morally gray. I think she sells it pretty well. Like, I don't know. I did find myself rooting both for and against Aphra during the story, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which I think is also like how it was written. I think it was written very well that way. Like, we always get that these people are scoundrels, but also they'll never swear or hit a baby, or like everyone's like, "Oh, I'm a gambler in Nar Shaddaa, but I always follow the stoplights." Like, Aphra's like, "No, I am a scoundrel. I do a lot of illegal stuff, and sometimes, yeah, I'm gonna join whichever side is winning." And she's pretty frank about it. So I think because the rules are set up in that way, whenever she does that stuff, I'm like, "Oh yeah, that makes sense." And I still feel for her when the emotional like downfalls hit, because she told me who she was.
Yeah, it's like, oops, I gotta kill this bus full of children. Oh well, I guess it's just part of the mission.
I told you I was a children bus killer. You just didn't listen.
That's right.
It brings you
It's
back
very
around for her as being a villain, right? So if you start like getting on her side, like you said, Corey, then you're like, oh yeah, she's
pretty scummy.
Murder these people. So yeah, she's a villain. I got to remember that she's still a villain.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah.
She is.
She's Darth Vader's intern. Like,
Yeah.
this is the thing.
Yes. Accurate.
Yeah. She's learning from the best. She also repeatedly says throughout this whole story that, love and goodness can be equated with weakness. So all of that kind of seems to stem from the story of her mother who died, what she described as weak and in terror, basically because of her love for her daughter, her love for Aphra.
Yeah.
And she makes similar comments about Padme, saying that you can't be both good and strong as a queen. And, towards the end of the story, she even reveals that she personally pulled away from Sana because, and I quote, "saying yes would have tied me to someone who made me weak, and I could not be weak." What were your overall thoughts on her kind of equating those things and how that played into her personality, into her character?
I thought the voice
Oh.
acting all around that stuff was absolutely incredible. Like when she had
Yes.
those like emotional breakdowns toward the end of the book, like, oh my gosh, that was like heartbreaking. Like she totally nailed the acting of that.
Yeah, and I think it hit me a lot because it was, like I said, we had this person who has lived her entire life thinking one thing about love and is like shut herself off. Like it's not the most original concept in the world, but it is definitely prevalent, right? This is the thing that happens to people all the time, and I think that it makes a character very sympathetic when it happens to her because she clearly loves Sana and she wants to let her in, but she's still so traumatized from the people that she loved getting destroyed over it. And I think, that's a Star Wars tale of all Star Wars tales, is being afraid of loss and shutting yourself off. It's what they all do. So I think it really made her even more of a relatable character by the end, to the point where, like you were saying on the last point, yeah, she's done some terrible things, but I get it. She is so afraid of loss, and the only way to prevent loss is to not form attachments. So
That's right.
I really loved it. And yeah, you're right, Corey. Emily Wozeller is, her and Sarah Kuhn together with those words and that acting, really incredible pairing.
Yeah, it was incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great combo. Weirdly enough, if someone had listened to this project and not read the comics, there were some really big moments that were left out, like Chewbacca versus Black Chrysanthemum. That was a fight that happened in the Vader Down series. And, there were some other moments that were probably also very confusing when they happened if you didn't read the comics. Like, for example, Vader suddenly being attacked by Carbon, who's a cross between Admiral Akbar and General Grievous out of nowhere, also from the Vader Down portion of the story, but that was in this project. Or Enob's random attack on Sunspot Prison. So that was the guy that was like had it out for Leia, and he's the one that released Aphra and all the other prisoners from Sunspot. Readers of the comics knew all of these backstories. So was it a good strategy to include those plot points in this story? Does it take away from the project that people might not have known what was going on or might have gotten lost, or is this going to just incentivize people to pick up the comics?
I thought it was done pretty well, in that like Aphra had commentary on it, like the way that she talked about like Vader's off doing this weird thing as some guy I've never seen. I don't know what the hell that's all about. Like, like it was kind of talked about like that. So like, I don't think it, I don't know. I have read that part of the comic though. So maybe maybe I'm not sure if I'm able to truly give you an unbiased thought there.
Yeah, it's a tough one to say because the point of the whole audio drama is Aphra's personal journey, right? If we're saying like, what is the story being told? It's Aphra telling her own tale of this evolution. So while those may have been important events to like the grand tale of like the whole Vader Down thing, I think that for what we needed to get out of it, I think the cuts were pretty appropriate. And the stuff that maybe wasn't able to be followed quite as easily, by the end of it, did we need it? Like, did we need to know this moment? No, because at the end, we're only really concerned with Aphra's emotional journey, and we got that. So I think that when you're picking and choosing what to insert in, she picked the most Aphra-centric moments, and the other stuff just had to get left on the cutting room floor.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Eric, your curtains are moving behind you.
Oh yeah,
man.
no, I'm gonna tell. That's why you gotta hang out on Monday nights because I have my air conditioner on behind my curtains because it's really hot in Chicago right now, and it looks like a spooky murderer is going to come get me during the live stream.
We've been talking about it the whole time behind the scenes. It's really great. Every time Eric's big video comes on the screen, it's like wiggle, wiggle. Wiggle, wiggle, like, wiggle, wiggle,
Oh
God, he's about to get murdered live on the air. Oh man. Fantastic.
All right, y'all. Last question before we jump onto Easter eggs. Could this story, do you think, be evidence that Aphra is about to become a part of the larger story? Like, was this an effort maybe to make more fans aware of the character before she shows up in a TV series or in a film?
That's a great question.
Or is this a strategy they might use in the future?
That's a really good question.
I have a short answer to this, so I want to jump in. Then Corey, I want to hear what you have to say, and Wes. But like, I think that she already is in a way, and why I say that is because she's like the first comic book character in quite a long time, at least in the canon, that got her own Black Series figure.
Good
She
point.
got her 2 runs of her own self-titled comic book after showing up in Vader.
She's a
Like-
playable character in the Outer Rim board game. I played as her last
Right.
week. Yeah, I don't know if you guys
That's
played
awesome.
that, but yeah.
So I'd say that I think my answer to that is that she already is. And I think
Yeah.
that she is the character more than any that showed the legitimacy of the comics on the same level as the books. I think the TV shows and the films are still, they're always going to be a little higher purely because of viewership and like the time you have to
Mhm.
put into them. Like it takes a lot less dedication to read, to watch a movie than to read a book or a comic. But I think Aphra's there. This is like announcing her arrival.
I think she's a pretty fitting character. All right, to answer your question, like Charles, do we think that they're prepping her? Maybe I don't think they think that far ahead. Quite frankly,
That also is true.
yes, but I think that she's certainly a fitting enough character to make it on screen in some capacity. Like
Sure. Emily Wozeller, let's go.
Yeah, absolutely. Like put her in a single episode of The Mandalorian. That show is like perfect for that sort of storytelling medium, right? Like there's rumors they're gonna put Ahsoka in it, or some crap, right? So like
I don't know if you heard, guys. There's a leak that we're in it.
I swear
You
I
know that
heard
we-
too.
Guys, leak confirmed. Everyone you know is actually in the We're in the Mandalorian right now.
What is happening?
This is an episode of the Mandalorian. Leaks confirmed.
Yes, absolutely.
Nice.
Absolutely.
Notoriety.
I don't
Well,
know.
how about she turns up in a new series of Rebels? Could that work? Because
Ooh.
we have our good guys, right? We've always had our good guys,
Yeah.
and some of the bad guys turn into good guys. But how about we got a main bad guy, an Aphra?
That's true.
Oh,
I actually like that a
that'd
lot.
be fun.
You know, and
yeah,
I
put
think
her in
that-
animation.
That'd be an
No,
easy way to introduce her too.
And
Yeah.
we do talk about that certain stories work pretty well in certain mediums, and a lot of times it's hard to get animation to live action. It's oftentimes hard to get comics to audio dramas. Maybe comic to animation wouldn't be such a hard jump, perhaps.
Right.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Put Aphra in the next animated show.
Yeah.
I would love that.
All about it.
Yeah, I think we're going to be seeing more of Aphra, whether it's a movie, TV show, another audio drama, who knows? But there's more Aphra on the way.
Yep.
And we'll all be happy to see it. But y'all,
Mhm.
it's time to jump into some Easter eggs. There really aren't too many because when it comes to audiobooks, I do not have quite the attention for detail that I do for when I'm reading the actual page. But let's
You
go
do
ahead
a
and run
great
through 'em.
job, Charles. I don't
Charles
care what anyone
says
says.
that
Do what I
as
can.
I'm looking at literally a page and a half of Easter eggs. So okay.
No, it's not. It's not
Stop
that much.
looking.
Yeah, Corey, what are you doing,
All right,
man?
backing up.
So to open it up, Aphra actually opens the book by stating that she has more lives than a Tuca cat. So again, we get the Tuca cat. It's the most common. That was weirdly very good.
Thank you.
Thank
you very
been
much.
practicing in the mirror every
I
morning?
live with 2 Tuca cats, so I think that's what it is.
That is fair. Yeah, but this is like still the most used reference I think in canon since Disney's taken over. It's the Tuca cat.
Bless it.
We learn that Maz Kanata is the one that's chasing after Aphra at the beginning of the story to try to get back the stolen antique stealth micro droid dust, which say that 5 times fast. But you know, those micro droids were in the comics, but we never knew that it was Maz that was chasing her. So that was a new addition.
Always love Maz.
Yes.
She should show up honestly, like in every story. I think I would not be surprised. Like even a rumbling of Maz Kanata. Let's do it.
I'm with you, and offering to do weird drugs with Poe Dameron like she did in Resistance Reborn. Droidicas chase Aphra when she steals 000's personality matrix, so it's always fun to see those from the prequels.
Oh, there are those droidicas.
Exactly.
Oh.
Exactly.
Droid
In chapter 5, Aphra is talking about Vader, and she says, Lord Vader, as in the one and only Darth Vader? I thought he was a myth, a boogeyman parents used to get their unruly younglings to behave. And maybe it wasn't, but it felt to me like it was a reference to George Mann's work, which, you know, is meant to be in
Oh.
universe. So it was kind of cool that like we get a reference to Vader as a boogeyman, and we have this
Yeah.
in universe story of Vader as
That's
a
a
boogeyman,
good point.
right?
I like it.
Yeah. I like that a lot.
Yeah, so working in some of his stuff, and we love George here. So, 000 says at one point, if I believed in the maker, I would thank them. And that's definitely a reference to C-3PO's famous line of "Thank the Maker."
That's
Let's see here. So Aphra's father is named Corin. I just want to throw that out there.
Get out.
Silence.
It is not spelled the same way, so don't get too excited, y'all. But it is definitely Corin. We learn a little bit about Corin, like that he's researching Jedi artifacts, specifically those of the Knights of the Ordo Aspectu, and that storyline plays out fully in the Aphra comics. So if that sounded cool to you, go and pick those up.
Those get real trippy. There's like a
They
sentient force fungus, just if you haven't read it.
Yes.
Mm.
Everyone
There's your
should go and
teaser.
read that. In chapter 14, Vader references Boba Fett losing a fight against Luke Skywalker on Tatooine, and Aphra is like, what is he talking about? And that is a scene from the Star Wars mainline comic, so you'll need to go and pick that up as well.
I remember
Also-
I remember stopping the recording and was like, that he didn't even fight him in episode 4. What is he talking about?
Yeah.
I had to go
see?
look it up. Yeah.
And then
It's a
you
cool
found
fight.
it. Yeah. They fight. I think it's in old Ben's old hut too.
Yes,
if I'm
it
not
is.
mistaken. Yeah. So also in chapter 14, Aphra learns Luke's full name, and she states, "Hey, was that a first name to go with that last name I've never heard of?" But this is kind of a little bit of a walk back, because George Lucas has said many times over the years that the reason that Vader couldn't find his son with his own name on the planet in which he was raised was because Skywalker was apparently the equivalent of like Johnson in a
Oh, yeah.
galaxy far, far away.
Yeah.
And she was just like, Skywalker, what the heck is that? I've never heard of that. But anyways,
Okay, George. All right, buddy.
I know, right?
Love you. Okay. Sure.
Now, in chapter 17, a bouncer in the bar tells Black Chrysanthemum and the crew that, and I quote, "Your kind aren't welcome here." So it was just like woo her in A New Hope.
Classic.
And then Black
Rudeness.
Chrysanthemum proceeds to get in a pit fight and rips off his opponent's arms, as Wookiees tend to do.
Yes!
But what was pretty messed up is his opponent was a Wookiee. So he ripped off a Wookiee's arms.
That's hard.
It is
That's
hard.
terrible.
That was gruesome.
That is terrible.
That was a gruesome
Yeah.
scene.
The sound
was,
effects
actually.
alone.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah, a lot of bone and sinew. But anyways,
Hmm.
000 states at one point that he hopes to be coated in a precious metal. So that's definitely a callback to C-3PO as well.
That's right.
In chapter 30, Vader references Inspector Thanos. And I was so hyped because he is like the greatest character of all time. He's basically Sherlock Holmes in space. If y'all have not read these, he literally has mutton chops. Like he is just
Wait,
fantastic.
what?
I've never heard of this person.
Thanos?
I've
Like-
never heard of this.
Yes.
The Thanos snap?
Yes.
What are you talking about? Tell us more.
Like I am inedible?
Y'all
Like-
know this character, right?
Is this from Clone Wars?
No.
Not that
No.
kid, not that
Dude,
guy. Is
oh
he?
my god. No, he's not from the Clone Wars. He's only from the comics, only from the Vader comics.
I have no recollection of this guy whatsoever.
All right. Well,
I've read the Vader comics. How am I not remembering this guy?
You know who this character is then.
What's his name?
Inspector Thanos.
Inspector
Thanoth. Thanos.
Yes.
Thanos.
I do not remember this
has
guy. He looks
mutton
really
chops. He literally has
Dang.
a, what do you call, a monocle. He has a monocle.
cool. The monocle.
He's pretty fantastic. So if you don't know who he is,
Wow.
that was a great name drop. He really is one of my favorite like comic characters like
Here
ever.
he is.
So
I have him pulled
yes,
up.
there he is.
He looks like
Very
looks-
muttony.
he looks awesome.
Nobody's like, he's super smart. Actually, he really is exactly like Sherlock Holmes in space. Like that is the best
Interesting.
way to describe him.
That's really
He-
cool.
He
Larceny
figures
is
stuff
the
out.
least of the great crimes. Mark my words, we'll have tidied this away within the day.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's great.
All right. So moving on from him, but go look him up. Aphra actually repairs the Millennium Falcon in this story because she's hoping to use it for herself. But that means that when we first see the Falcon in Empire Strikes Back, that it had actually been worked on recently by Aphra. And so that's just a really cool connection for next time that you're
Interesting.
watching the movies.
Love that.
Yes. So now Catherine Tabor, I already mentioned, returned as the voice of Padme in the recorded message. So that was great. We've already talked about Carbon and Eneb being characters who came back from the comics. Aphra at one point says to the Emperor, "The apprentice has become," and then the Emperor cuts her off and says, "You will regret finishing that sentence." But of course, that's a reference to Vader's, "When I met you, I was but the learner. Now I am the master."
Now I am the master.
Exactly. And now
Dig it.
let's go ahead and end this out the most fitting way that I think we could, which is with 000's best quotes. So I have a couple here.
Oh, yes, please.
Fantastic.
The first one is, we could always simply murder everyone we encounter. No matter the problem, I usually find that to be the most elegant solution.
Marvelous. As do I.
Then he says about Luke, we could just kill Skywalker, Mistress Aphra. In my experience, most organics are pretty much interchangeable. Bring Lord Vader a couple more yellow-haired ones to make up for the loss. He'll get over it.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Yikes, my guy.
Oh, give me that scene where they just bring like 5 imposter Lukes to Vader, and he's like,
How
"What?
about this
What
one?"
is this? Who is responsible?"
I don't like that. Please no.
About BT, he says, "Look at him go. Wanton destruction really brings out his playful side, doesn't it? It's always nice to see someone who's passionate about what they do." And then finally, we get, "Hello, Captain Solo. I'm quite looking forward to torturing you later." So,
Fantastic.
Such a good character.
love
In his
Love
uplifting
000.
voice.
Yeah,
yes,
because he is looking forward to it. Truly.
He really is. He is joyfully evil. And guys, that's how we'll leave it. So again, not as many as we normally have, but still plenty of Easter eggs in this story. So let's just go back around and re-rate the audio drama on a 1 to 10 like we normally do. Give me any final thoughts you have, and then we'll wrap this up. So Eric, I came to you first. Let's hear what you have to say.
All right. I started today at an 8.4. I'm just going to round it out. I'm making an even 8.5. Let's be simple about it. I had a really good time with this. I really enjoyed it. I think it flew by as I was listening. I really like the Aphra character a lot more listening to this than I did just reading the comics. And I think Sarah Kuhn's adaptation skills are great. And I hope she gets to write more audio dramas if she wants, books if she wants. And overall, I want Emily Wozeller now in Star Wars animation, like yesterday. Yeah, 8.5, had a blast.
Okay, so you actually went up. Corey, what do
I
you
did.
think?
0.1.
I'm sticking to my hard 7.5. I really enjoyed.
Coward!
I really enjoyed the book. I think that it was a lot of fun to listen to. I'm super into the new audio drama format. Like, I hope we get a whole bunch more of these. These are awesome. I did find Aphra to be a little bit over the top at times. Like that sort of took me out of the story just a little bit. But like, I definitely don't think it took away from the story and like as a whole. So, I liked it. It was good. I mean, that still falls into the on utini.com. That's the good category. Like, I think above an 8 is a very good. So like 7.5 to 8 is like good. And I think that's a it was good. It was good. Good. It's good.
Good.
It's good.
Good. Yeah.
All
Not
right,
to
Wes,
be
what do you
confused with fine. It wasn't fine. It was good.
I get
I don't
it.
know why I'm saying it all loud and squeaky like that. It was good. All right, Wes, what do you think?
I'm sticking with my 7.2. I'm a big proponent for the score and the themes from the score that are in the movies. And in this particular audio drama, I think they had like Luke and Leia's theme, and they also had Anakin and Padme's theme play, just like for not random characters, but for characters that shouldn't deserve those
That's
spots
a good
of the
point.
score.
I actually noticed that too.
Yeah. Oh,
And
hey,
that
sorry
kinda-
to interrupt you, Wes. Eddie
Yeah.
Play is 455 just followed us.
Appreciate
So
that.
thank you for the Twitch follow.
Oh, yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I
nice.
did notice that too. It was weird, Wes. Like something about I'm not sure why they just dropped in random sort of audio tracks in there.
Kind of like they felt they had to have those in there.
Yeah,
Like
it
they
was
had
odd.
to. Yeah, they had like.
You know
any
what?
way
You're
can
right.
fit it in.
6. Make it a 6. Throw it out.
That's kind of one of the reasons I didn't rate it as high. But I like the story. But again, this was brand new to me. I haven't read any of the comics, so
Yeah.
it was fun. It was fun to listen to. I hope we get more.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Let's
I
keep it going.
agree. Eric really, I think he's twisted my arm. He's made a really good case for this project. And so I'm going to go from my 7.3 up to a 7.4, begrudgingly.
You're a
My,
hero.
my final comments,
You're a true
more
hero,
Aphra.
Charles.
Yes, I know. My final comments, more Aphra, more life. That's it for this roundtable.
That's right.
Love
Also, just to kind of round that out, I was just looking on the site too, and it looks like our final review of Aphra too. I just lost it. There it is. Our final review of Aphra is an 8.0, and that's very good. So it's got a 7 for plot, an 8.7 for character, 7.7 for originality, 8.0 for writing, and 8.7 for entertainment. So actually, I think on average the team liked it. The review team, particularly, who are more educated and more interesting than Charles, Wes, or myself.
Absolutely.
Eric is on the review team, so
I don't know what happened. I don't know what could happen there.
The team liked it a lot. Very good. Not fun.
Yeah. So an excellent roundtable, guys. I had a good time with that. And again, if you're listening and you listen to Dr. Aphra, head over to utini.com on the book profile. Leave your star review. I mean, if everyone who listened to this episode rated the Aphra audio drama, it'd be insane. It'd be a lot. But please do. We'd love to hear what you think of it. And any other book you've read, of course, over at Utini. And a reminder, next week, or maybe an announcement. I guess it's not a reminder because that's in the past. An announcement for the future. We'll be talking about Clone Wars, Stories of Light and Dark, and Dark Legends next week. We're combining the two in like an anthology show. Are you guys excited about that? Charles, Corey, Wes? An anthology show? Are you stoked?
I'm more nervous than excited because I haven't read either. So
I knew it. That's why I asked you.
Yes, I'm gonna blow through them this week for sure. I'm on vacation this week, guys.
Oh my God! Yes.
That's awesome.
Yep. So I'm gonna
Congrats.
Great.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. We've gone, but it's basically a stress test for me, I think. So let's condense things for a project down into one episode, and now let's just put multiple things in one episode. That's fine. I'm fine. We're all fine here now.
We're all fine.
It's gonna be great. Well, until then, my friends, that is gonna do it for this week's episode of The Living Force.